Hello and welcome. I am Melanie Clampett, the owner of Studio B in the beautiful Napa Valley. And I'm here to introduce you to these beautiful people, Pam and Clifford, and speak a bit about the Bliss Breathwork that we have coming up at the studio this coming weekend, actually. So without further ado, I would love to hear more about the two of you. So if you wouldn't mind introducing yourselves, that would be wonderful.
Well, I'm gonna let you go first.
Okay, I would love to go first. So my full name is Pam Stalzer. I'm a licensed chiropractor since I was 26 years old and graduated.
About 5 years.
Yeah,
about 5 years ago.
Yeah. A few years. And had children, raised children. You know, I'm kind of a addictive learner, so I'm always learning new things and integrating. And I even knew that at my work, it wasn't just going to be cracking backs and all of that. That part is needed, but deeper healing requires more. I got my own personal invitation into breath work when I had a big trauma that hit in my early 30s. And it was more of the cathartic, what I call yang breath work, a little bit more intense, a little bit more yelling. And it still was great because my cousin, who, she's now passed, but she was like, there's no way talk therapy is going to handle this trauma. And sure enough, she connected me with somebody in Los Angeles. And it really moved me through so much. It really builds, like I can even see with what's going on in the world right now and different changes that happen because life will keep lifing. And we have to have tools to navigate. And I really find breath work incredibly resilient. And I discovered the breath work that's blended into the Bliss Breathwork, probably, I'd say 2015, after a couple of breakups and looking at my relationship patterns. And this was a more gentle, these teachers that I studied from, it's more of a yin breath work. It's more of a heart-centered breath work. And I've more and more am I learning that you don't force things. It's like, can we receive, right? Can we allow? So I did all the trainings and it really helped connect me to my true self and the imagined separation with spirit. And it does build incredible resilience. And I was able to get through so much and really look at my early patterns in my life. And then we look, of course, at the ancestral patterns as well, because I know and I'm also a classical homeopath. I do the breath work. I do sound healing. I integrate so much.
Astrology.
Yeah, astrology. I'm a master muscle tester. I always tell my patients, you wouldn't hire me as your bookkeeper. I don't master that, but I've definitely mastered the muscle testing. So even when I do breath work, I can tune in and see where the person needs to breathe into. And what's beautiful, it will, as you start the breathing, which is that's why this one I like better, because you can do a whole group and people aren't screaming and hollering, which can, people will be crying sometimes, but it's not as distracting, I find, as the more intense yang. But after I finished my training and I assisted, I met this beautiful man at his level 1. And our relationship began with breath. And we both had relationships that we don't even call them failed anymore.
No.
It's like we've learned from each one, but we did have a few that didn't work out. It took us through a lot of pain. And then the lessons you learn, from that. And it'll be our 6-year anniversary soon. By far the best yet. And the other thing too, there was an element of the breath work for me that allows us to really, especially with the ancestral patterns, these things will come up within our body because our traumas of our ancestors are in our DNA. And there's plenty of data, and I'll probably bring some when I come and do the course. There's 7 family karmic shadows. It could be poverty. It can be abandonment. It can be abuse, violence, betrayal, illness, addiction. I think those are them. For me, my mother was a Holocaust survivor, raised in an orphanage. I was not raised in the Jewish ghetto in Poland, but I can have abandonment issues. I would say recently a trigger of an ancestral trauma would be a feeling that I will lose all my money. It's irrational. And even when I do the mind body work, I'm working with the irrational brain. I'm not working with the rational brain, right? So have I ever lost all my money? No. Has my family lost all their money? Yes. Right. Both my family have sexual abuse. Yes. Did I? No. So, move it on out. And I've done different work. Like in 2019, I lost father of my children passed. I lost 2 dogs. I lost a brother and 2 friends. And then I started doing this work. And Cliff and I did a little private session. And it's, my grandma lost 3 children all at once in the 1917 pandemic. And then, of course, the Holocaust. I respect her, what she went through. I have empathy. I don't need it in my space. Thank you very much.
So you found then breath work in this particular more, Zen style, not Zen, Yin style breath work has helped you to move that out and get more integrated and
absolutely. The stuff will come up through the body. I wouldn't want someone to do a whole hour or 2 by themselves, but I'll do like 20 breaths a day. But to do the deeper work, you'll start to get tingling sensations and different physical things. The body's all resisted stuff that's been pushed down. And it comes, I do not believe you can clear this stuff through the mind. You need to clear it through the body. So it's been built in a lot of inner strength for me. I just had the loss of a niece and I'm feeling it, but I know how to handle the turns, that life gives.
So it's also giving you more resilience to be able to handle the things that come up in life, not just resolve the past.
And the old patterns, I'm not saying your patterns never get lit up because we're never done. It's that we're more gentle with ourselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So
that was beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm going to take up more time. I bet you that.
Yeah, you did.
So, Clifford, can you tell us a bit about you?
Yeah, my name's Clifford Meurer. I've also been doing breath work with multiple teachers over many years. I've assisted others. I've done it privately. Pam and I have also led retreats down in Southern California. Once again, we met through breath work, and we did all of our training, or a lot of our training, in Costa Rica. So it also created a connection with that place and that space. But my background was in business consulting and coaching, which I've done for many years. And what it allowed me to do, what this breathwork allowed me to do, is kind of let go of things that were any kind of a trigger for me. So my father also was in an orphanage for part of his life. So I had this kind of poverty consciousness that was ingrained. It's like you could either say you're cheap or frugal. You get to choose. And so there was that part of me that would just cut, no matter how much money I was making, that would always come up. And so with breath work, I could just feel like things being let go, like piece after piece. And obviously, when you're doing the training, you do the breath work yourself many times, and then guiding other people. It's kind of a give and take. You learn something as you're doing this breath work with other people. And so what I've noticed is that it's an opportunity to really dive into stuff without actually seeing it. So I love that you're clearing stuff under the surface without even knowing you're doing it. I've watched many people clear physical ailments, emotional challenges. I did one of these sessions for my son for his birthday, and he's young, he's in his 20s, and he asked for it specifically. He wanted for his birthday. So we did this breath work, and when it was all done, it's I can never tell what somebody's going through while they're doing it. When it got all done, he's like, I didn't think it would work. That was amazing. So much stuff came up. And so it's really fun to get that reflection from family, from friends, from clients. It's just a work that I really, truly believe in. And obviously, it changed my life because I met my beloved through this, and the best relationship I've ever had in every way. So if that's all I got out of breath work, I'm grateful. Our teachers have been amazing. They still teach all over the United States, all over the world. So they've helped us, to take our practice to the next level also. And so I'm also very grateful for them.
And there's an aspect of this particular breath work, the clarity breath work, which we've offshooted into our own thing, of course, is an offshoot of rebirthing. And so there's 24 different birth patterns. So, I often will look at, especially, I remember with myself, I was a force of delivery. This person, don't like authority, don't push me, don't tell me what to do. It's somebody who's stuck or might have no exit trauma. I got to get out. And, it's
So,
different. Yeah, go ahead.
Ask you a question about this, because a lot of people might be listening to this conversation and they've not done any of their own they've not taken a deep dive into their lives yet. And people will often wonder, like, well, what does this have to do with my life? So I'm wondering if you could just kind of quickly speak to, like, why would somebody want to even look at their birth, or why would they want to look at what happened, historically in their lives? How does that impact the way people are living their lives now? And what can be the benefit of looking at it and actually clearing it from the body and the mind?
Well, I'll start.
Okay.
It's, to me, like, even with the neuroemotional technique I do, is mind body technique I've done for years in my office. To me, it doesn't have to be massive catharsis. It's embrace it, feel it, let it go, because the body will have me go back to a memory, right? And sometimes the birth, we don't know a memory, but we'll find out from our family. But it's like, let's say somebody has chronic late problems, or they're, in their birth, they're a month late, or a preemie, or each one has different characteristics. So it just kind of helps the person understand, oh, wow, that's maybe why I've had this behavior my whole life. Or maybe that's why I can't handle being late. Or like even the cord around the neck feeling, or, each one has a little personality. So I think it creates clarification, don't you?
Yeah. And I think that's probably where they came up with the name Clarity Breathwork, which is, like, once again, that's our teachers. And what I've noticed in this process is, like, even people that have never done any kind of transformation work or breath work, or there's so many different tools that are out there that you can use. Even people that haven't done that, when they experience this, there's just a connection to it, because breath is life. We can go without food for days, we can go without water for a few days, but we can't go without breath for more than a minute or two. And so what happens is, when we really start learning how to breathe more deeply, we can breathe into all the issues that we have mentally, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually even. So we're breathing into that, even if we don't have any other reference points.
And it can breathe out toxins. We're going to read, there's so many different things that breath work, can do. But I think it builds self-love, without having to rack and talk about it all the time, where you're going back into your story, where it just cuts alarm points. So it's just a way, because the body will have alarm response. It, like, I have an example. The last one I did was somebody who was not allowed to speak in their childhood, so of course this area got tight as they were breathing, but then you can put your hand, you can breathe through it to allow a gentler approach. You don't have to attack it, because it's up and they weren't heard. So they're trying to breathe, all of a sudden their throat gets tight. That could be scary, right? And that's why it's good to have the support around, because it doesn't take long to move through it. And then you move through a beautiful layer. Right?
So one of the things that in the breath work you're doing is you're allowing the breath to carry you into the body, into the inner world, where we've been holding on to these memories, or holding on to a point of view or a judgment or a conclusion that we've come to, and then get present with it.
Yeah.
Allows it to begin to change. So for someone who might be interested in doing breath work, who may be finding themselves, they're going through a transition, or they find themselves continuing to repeat patterns over and over again. They're like, it doesn't make any sense in my mind why I keep choosing this. I know it's not good for me. I know it doesn't create what I'd like. So this could be a way for them to explore and discover what may be some of those underpinnings that help us function. Because a lot of people are talking about, like, the unconscious mind, and how we're choosing behaviors or choosing people to be in relationship with, and choosing some of these destructive patterns. because the unconscious mind is coming out. So is this one of the ways that we can begin to make the unconscious conscious?
Exactly.
Yes, and the breath work can actually be kind of a reset. You know, we've seen countless situations where people were stuck with things and they've done breath work. Sometimes it's only one time, sometimes it's a couple of times when everything shifts.
I remember when one of mine with my teachers, it's like, I keep picking controlling men 4 in a row. I keep picking this pattern. And Dana leans and whispers, she goes, up until now in the past, up until now in the past. You know, you're looking at the pattern now and it shifted. Just because you've had the pattern doesn't mean it can't be transmuted into a different pattern with awareness, right? So right.
Yes. Cool. Well, I think we've touched on so many things just in this, brief time that we've been talking. I'd love to ask you guys a couple of questions just so people can begin to get to know you also. Obviously, you have a lot of experience. You've got a wealth of life experience and some really beautiful trainings, and skills and techniques that, you bring to your workshops. And just on a personal note too, just to people getting to know you. So you've got one of your fur babies behind you. Can you tell us a little bit about I know you're really connected to your fur family.
We are. And I just got my first grandchild. So I have 3 sons. Raised 3 boys.
Congratulations.
And I did raise my children that life is better with dogs.
By the way, so who do we have here behind you, Clifford?
So behind me is Bear. And Bear is he loves to run with me. We run all the time together. He doesn't like water much. He'll go into his belly and that's it. But he's just a blast. And everybody I take him with me pretty much everywhere I go.
He's extremely athletic.
Everybody loves Bear.
And Mila's a little chunk and just had surgery and doesn't like to walk that far because she's a princess.
Yes, she is a princess. So yeah, this is Mila and Bear. They are half siblings. They have the same dad, 2 different moms.
And
I love that they're both right here with you, like right.
That's their spot. They like to be on top of the couch.
Yeah, the breed, the one I had before, they like to be high.
Yeah, they're like cats.
Yeah, they like to be high on the couch. Anyway,
so, would you share with me something about you that you think may surprise people? Like maybe a lot of people may not know about you.
You want to go first?
I'll start. I'm really a very friendly, playful, I like to have fun, dance, play around, laugh, be silly. If someone, now there's not many incidences, but let's say I'm exhausted, tired, and someone pushes disrespect, the family will call me the rabbit chihuahua because I'm 5'2", right? But all of a sudden they're like, what? Because that's me holding it in too long. So that's one of the lessons I've learned in my maturity. Express your anger before you finally lose it and somebody says something, because that's doesn't happen often. Rabbit chihuahua.
Rabbit chihuahua. It can be an important energy to be able to be.
Right.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, people are, because I'm pretty go with the flow.
Yeah. And, until you aren't.
Until I'm not. Yeah.
And I would say an interesting factoid about me is that I'm super active. I'm 67 years old. I refuse to be that old. I'm learning how to wing foil all over. I've never done this before, so I learned a new sport this year. I still surf and ski, and it's like I love being out on the water. I love to be on the snow, and I plan on doing that for many, 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 many years.
I love it. We're gonna have to get a picture of you wingboarding.
Yep.
He's amazing.
Easy to do.
He's easy to do. Keeps him young.
Right now, what we've been doing is my son, who's 40 years younger than me, has been dragging me around on a surf foil behind a sea-doo at Lake Tahoe. And we just did that last week. We're going to have to put it away soon because it's going to start snowing now. We were the only ones on the lake.
Excuse me. Definitely something people wouldn't know about you.
Yeah.
I love that. So can you talk a bit about Well, I think we've covered it. So you're available for these workshops is in Northern and Southern California?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. And privates, being hands-on as I've been, COVID was a big, the what's the positive COVID? I'm thinking of the can't think of the word, but I was forced to do remote because before my teachers would do remote breath work. And my stupid, you need to touch people. It's my preference, right? Because I can't do chiropractic adjustments over the phone, but I can still do a lot remotely. So I've been excited. So we do remote. We can do privates in person. We can do privates remotely on Zoom. We can do group. We did group ones.
Yep.
He preferred, and then I started doing it with my girlfriend's son who just finished the training, and then COVID happened. So I did once a month with him, remotely. But there's many ways. Breath is breath, and oxygen heals. Period.
Beautiful. I am so happy to be able to, excuse me.
All right.
Yes, a little allergy that just like decided to kick in at the end of the conversation. But I'm so excited to have both of you at Studio B this weekend.
It's gonna be great.
Sharing these beautiful gifts, and I'm excited to get to experience it.
Yes.
As well. Yeah, absolutely. So thank you both so much for taking the time to have this conversation.
Thank you.
And
Always a
hopefully
pleasure.
that so for those people who might be looking for you, where could they find you?
So Pam's website is Dr. Pam Stalzer, STALZER.com. She's easy to find. And mine is feltsense.org, FELTSENSE.org. And felt sense is that gut feeling when you just know something.
I love it. I love that. And I will also make sure to include those links, under the video here for those of you who might want to explore Pam and Clifford more. And we would love to see you at Studio B for
Sunday.
Bliss Breathwork on Sunday. And if you're listening to this in the future, you can look under this and you'll go to studiobnapa.com and there'll be a list of the upcoming events there as well and how to get registered.
Awesome.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you, Mel.
Yeah, you are welcome. And thank you all for listening and spending your time with us. I would love to hear from you. If you have any questions about the conversation that we had, any comments would be welcome. And I hope to see you someday at Studio B in person, where we join together to lighten up, get happy and free right here in the Napa Valley.
Woohoo!
I like it.
Woo!
Thank
Bye
you.
now. Thanks, and bye.